Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth installment of our certification webinar series, Advanced Testing with LCTT. My name is Paul Hampton, and I'm the Vice President of Certification for the LoRa Alliance. And it's great to have you all here today. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you find that you're streamed through your computer, there's a dial-up number. If you cannot hear the audio playing, check your speakers or your headset and make sure that it's plugged in and so on, your volume's turned up. If you push F5 on Windows or Command R on your Mac to refresh your page, if you see that the video is lagging, that helps. You can find additional answers to some of the common technical issues by clicking the help box at the bottom of the screen and in the menu bar. Submit your questions through the Q&A box on your screen. Speakers will be answering the questions at the end of the webcast. On-demand version of this webinar will be available approximately 24 hours after the webcast, and you can access that from the same webcast link that you followed to get to this webinar. Today we have a very special guest with us. Allow me to introduce Itziar de la Torre. Itziar is a software engineer at IMST, one of our authorized test labs. Itziar has over a decade of experience in LoRaWAN development. With over 15 years in software development and customer support, she focuses on aligning products with the latest LoRaWAN standards and their client needs. Additionally, Itziar has been actively involved in the LoRaWAN certification program since its inception. She has contributed continuously to improving the program throughout. Welcome, Itziar.
Thank you very much, Paul, for your introduction. So I assume that all of you have already joined our previous webinar regarding the basic testing with the LCTT. So I will try to focus here on the advanced configuration and the advanced knowledge for further LCTT testing. So some of the points which I will include here, it will be the integration with the certification web system and the remote configuration of the gateway, some extra feature of the LCTT, and how to understand the logs and the errors found during the testing. So first of all, the web certification system, it is a system that has been developed in order to simplify the certification process. And here you will be able to submit a new device or a device for certification by similarity, and you will be able to introduce the whole information related to the device, which will be used for the testing itself. So this includes the LoRaWAN version or the region for the channel plan. This information could be automatically downloaded in the LCTT in order to ensure that the parameters and the Boolean and no Boolean parameters are correctly configured for the testing. So this is also really useful in order to complete the keys, the device UI, and all the information of the device. Also, the LCTT includes a feature that will allow you to upload the logs to the web certification system once the testing is complete. So the configuration on the gateway side is also an important point, because this has been a normal issue in the past, because there are in some test cases where the LCTT adds additional channels, and it's important that the gateway is aligned with the settings used in the LCTT. That's why it's included the automatic configuration on the gateway. So for this, it's important to configure the path where the LoRa packet forwarder is stored on the gateway. And there is a small difference in the configuration files on the gateway depending on the chip used for the concentrator. So this means it must be chosen the correct chip and the SPI interface or the USB interface used for the communication in the concentrator. And also it's important to include how the credentials so that the LCTT is able to connect to the gateway and configure it itself. It's also possible to configure different gateways, so multiple gateways in case the setup use more than one gateway for the testing. Also, the LCTT includes different extra features. So it's not only the certification for class A, B, or C devices, but there is also possible to run the testing for certification by similarity in case LoRaWAN version 104 is adopted. In this case, the certification by similarity just runs some small testing in order to ensure that the standard communication is working. And this is only available for some requirements in the end device, like in case an already certified module has been integrated or there is an end device variant. So this means that the parent devices have already been certified, and it must be ensured that no modification is made in the LoRaWAN stack and implementation. Also, the LCTT includes the backup testing, which is important to run in case of the over-the-air activation if LoRaWAN version 104 is followed. And in this test case, it will be proof that the join request sent during 35 hours follows the limitations defined in the LoRaWAN specification. So, and other application testing also are available. So, like firmware update over the air, or the last feature already included in the LCTT, it's the relay testing. This is a quite different one, so it's a special setup required for this, because in this case, in addition to the standard computer and the LoRaWAN gateway used for the testing, there is an additional relay, an additional device. In this case, we can separate the testing in two different options. So we could be interested in testing the end device to be communicated via the relay. So in this case, we need a reference relay for the testing, or we could use the device under test to be the relay itself. And in this case, we need a reference end device for the testing. So in this case, the end device and the relay will be communicated via the word frames. So those are the relay protocols that are defined in the relay specification. And the relay will communicate with the gateway and the LCTT. So a part of this, we could finish the webinar, included some information how to understand any error on the logs, and also to know that those information can be easily found in the test specification. So you can easily find, okay, in the step 7.11, so if you go to the corresponding table in the test spec, you can see the expected behavior of the LCTT. So it's easily to follow what happens and where is the issue. So in order to debug your end device and solve everything so that it's compliant to the LoRaWAN specification. So having said this, we can do a small demonstration about the system, just in order to see all these features. So this one is the certification system, so where you could log in, sign, and here is the way where you could submit a new device or even submit a device for certification by similarity. In this case, you could select which is the parent device for your device, and also which one is the device that that is included in your device. So in case your device is not here, you can just contact the LoRa Alliance in order to include it, because at the moment only the devices available on the system are here selectable. So after that, you just need to continue and just follow all the screens that are appearing. In case you need to submit a new end device for the whole specification, you will see here, you could add the contact information, follow to the next screen, and here is where you could enter all the description from your end device and all the information and parameters that will be used later on the LCTT for the testing. So it's important the LoRaWAN version, the channel plan that will be used, and any additional parameters, optional parameters, and the class, and all this information. Also, the LoRaWAN keys are also here, so, and this will be automatically appear in the LCTT. After that, you will just need to follow all and select the authorized test lab and all this information. So once doing this, you could log in the LCTT with the same credentials and then go on. Here, you will need to select the latest technology package. And you could create here a new project. Similar to the test we already did in the basics LCTT testing. So you could just continue with the selection of the gateway. Here we could select more than one gateway or just select one of those. Important is that here you have the possibility to select the relay testing or backup testing similarity. If you select the normal certification, we could continue with the IP address of the gateway and the IP address of the computer where the LCTT is installed. Here you have some general parameters that are used per default by the LCTT. Usually those parameters, you don't need to modify them. Some important parameters that could be important depending on the setup is the gap to be used in order to filter some phantom frames. So here there is a value that could be used in order. So if a phantom frame is received with a signal level greater than 30 dBs, for example, those will be discarded by the LCTT. So maybe you need to change, to modify these parameters in your setup, or also the size of the reception window. So this will be used in order to select the best frame that is received during this time. Those parameters are sometimes important parameters if you are using multiple gateways. So here you have the opportunity to automatically configure the gateway. So for this, here you have to select the path where the packet forwarder is installed in the gateway, also with the correct parameters of your concentrator, and the credential to be able to connect to the gateway. So you could start the setup, and the LCTT will automatically configure it. So now we are sure that the gateway is correctly configured with the requested rect channels. So you could here, you could verify that the communication is working. And when it's passed, we can go ahead with the next window. So here is the window where we could select the device. Here in the upper side, we can select the already devices that we have submitted via the web certification system. So we could download this from the web certification system. And in this case here, we could see how the Boolean parameters are the ones that we have already introduced. So it's really easy and we do not need to make any modification here. Also, it's really helpful that the keys are automatically downloaded, so we don't need to enter them anymore. So once we select the system, we can go to the next window where the available tests for our setups are available. So in this case, one important thing is in case you are running the relay testing. So we could see this is a different setup, a special one. So here you need to select the relay testing. And in case you are testing an end device, you will need to configure here the reference relay activation parameters in order to be able to activate the relay and to gain communication with it. If you are if you are interested in testing the relay itself, you need to define here the end device reference parameters. So this is the reference end device, the reference relay, and independently of the device under test that is used during the test. So this is something different than the standard testing. And in this case, also the applicable tests are available here. So for example, those two tests are available for the relay and those are available for the end device. So apart from this, you could also go to the project, to any project. And if you go here to the log tabs, you could find different logs from different dates. So all the logs will be stored in a window. And here you can see if the logs is passed, if it failed. And for more information, you can just double click here and you can see you could get the folder where the logs are available, and you could get all the information of all the uplinks and downlinks exchanged between the LCTT and the device under the test. So you will be able to follow up what happens and why the test fails. So for example, here, the test failed because it's expected that in 9 retries, the end device use the 3 different default frequencies, and in this case, 1 default frequencies had not been used. So, and that's why, so in this case, 1 is missing, so the test fails and you could get all the information and debug everything that you need. So, just I hope this gives you a brief brief overview about the testing and all the capabilities of the LCTT. Anyway, there is also additional testing and services also important if you are going to market an end device. So like the radiation performance testing or the regulatory approvals, which are out of scope of the LoRa Alliance, but also important for any end device going to be marketed. And all of this, you can always reach any test house or reach us if you require any support. So, Paul, maybe you want to finish with some reasons how to join the LoRa Alliance?
Sure. Thank you very much. Itziar, I never fail to learn something from watching one of your seminars, so I much appreciated. There is a link on the resources section to learn more about the LoRa Alliance and how to join. If you want to click on that link, we can provide that information to you. And then let's move on to the question and answer period. Let's start with the first question. How should I prepare my device for retransmission back-off testing?
Oh yeah, so this is a good question. So actually, important to remark, so retransmission back-off testing is necessary for version 104 and only if the device supports over-the-air activation. So in this case, actually, you don't need anything special on the device. So the certification port, for example, is not used during this testing. So the only requirement is that the device should start the join procedure each time it resets itself. Important here for the setup on the gateway side is that you should always use a gateway or a setup with all channels support. So this means for US, for example, you need a 64 channel setup in order to be able to get all join requests sent by the device. Because the goal of this testing is to ensure that the device follows the limitations already defined in the LoRaWAN specification. So the gateway, it's important to ensure that the gateway is able to receive all the join requests sent.
Great. You know, it's interesting. I get that question quite often. And you also mentioned something that leads into our next question, and that is for testing US 915, do I need a single gateway that supports all 64 channels, or can I use multiple gateways?
So actually, both setups are equally similar. So the important thing is that the 64 channel support is built in your setup. So the LCTT supports either the connection of one gateway with 64 channels or different multiple gateways with different channels. So everything is possible.
Okay. Very good. Let's see. Here's one. How do I ensure my setup is correctly configured and my gateway is running properly?
So indeed, this is a good question, interesting one. So I could always recommend to use the LCTT to configure the gateways in case the gateway is capable of this, and the LCTT also compatible with this gateway model. In this case, you will ensure that the gateway is configured with the right settings, with the IP address of the computer, with the correct channel list, and everything is working properly. At the end, once you try to select the test case and you start running it, there is a window when you can see all the exchange packages between the device and the LCTT. And the first thing is to see if the connection to the gateway is there. So once you see push data, push ACK, this means the LCTT manage the connection to the gateway, and then you can start sending uplinks. I hope this is clear.
So pretty much LCTT will tell you that it's set up correctly. Okay, good. Here. Where can I find or buy reference device or relay for relay testing?
Actually, during the relay implementation on the LCTT, we use the reference end device and a reference relay for the relay testing. This was based on this is actually based on the open source code from Semtech, the LBMS and this is supporting different kits from Semtech. So we were using a standard Nucleo board for that. And I'm sure you could be able to find this open source in GitHub, and then you could compile it, and you only have to compile it in different ways, one for the end device supporting relay and one for the relay supporting relay. And in any of those cases, you have to ensure that in both parts, so in the end device and also in the relay part, the certification port is enabled, because the LCTT will send testing commands on the certification port on the 224 to control the relay and the end device during all the tests.
Okay, great. Good question. Next one. Does LCTT perform different tests for certified by similarity as compared to of a new device?
Yeah, they are quite different. Actually, if you're running a complete certification for a new device, it's required that the end device has the certification port enabled and the certification port implemented, so the certification protocol. And the LCTT will run all the cases trying to control the device in order to run everything automatically. In case of the certification by similarity, only different test cases were defined in order to prove the implementation, the correct implementation, the integration on this end device, so that not the whole testing is required, only some part of those. And even in this case, the test port is not required. So for certification by similarity, this is also important. The end device does not require the certification protocol because the LCTT will not control. That's quite important to configure the end device with an uplink periodicity, just to be able to run the test quickly.
It's basically a truncated version of the test that a new device to go through. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, I think that wraps it up.
The normal testing takes 4 or 5 hours.
Go ahead. We apparently have a big delay here.
I think so.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, that wraps up our session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. This will be available on demand, and you'll be able to follow the same link that you followed to get to this live presentation to view the on-demand version of this as well. So, and if you have any other questions, please go ahead and send those to us, and we'll answer them as best we can and as quickly as we can. With that, goodbye and thanks again.
Yeah, also from my side, so thanks for the attendance, and let us know if you have any questions, just contact us. We are happy to assist you. So thanks.
Thank you, Itziar.
Thanks.